You're watching YCN, your local view. Program airtime is underwritten in part by Bar Harbor Bank and Trust. Looking to purchase your dream home, finance your business, or just find a better checking relationship? Our New Hampshire team is here to help you. We make award-winning banking happen every day. Contact us to see how we can help you. Member FDIC.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Derek Lick. I am your moderator for the day. I'll get into instructions about how we're going to proceed in just a moment. First thing I want to do is have us all stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is behind us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, thank you all for coming today. I know there's a great deal of interest. I know not all of us like to be here on a Saturday morning, but the silver lining is it shows how civically engaged our community is, and I'm very happy to have you all here. Let's talk a little bit about how we're going to proceed today. I'll lay out some of the rules. For those of you that haven't been here, the group sitting over here to this side is your school board, and on this side is your municipal budget committee. I'm also joined today by our school district counsel, Barbara Lohman, who's sitting behind me to the extent we have any legal issues. She's here to help us out. You have been provided a copy of the warrant, which lists several articles today. We know many of you are here for the petitioned warrant article. Just so you know, the way we're going to proceed today is the operating budget, which is warrant article number 1, must be first on the warrant according to our school district charter. So we'll discuss that first. That's our normal operating procedure, normal business. Then the petitioned warrant article that you are here, many of you are here to talk about today, is item 2 on our agenda. Once we are done talking about the operating budget, we will move to that petitioned warrant article, and then we will move through the rest of the warrant articles after that. For today's purposes, the way we're going to proceed, we have most of you folks here in this room in the gymnasium. We have an overflow room in the auditorium. The way we will proceed is I will read each warrant article first, then I will recognize someone to speak to that warrant article. For example, for the operating budget, I'll turn to somebody on the school board to talk about that. For the petitioned warrant article, I'll first recognize one of the folks that were engaged in preparing the warrant so they can speak to it. And then after that, we'll open up public comment. You'll see in here we have 3 mics set up at the front today. All 3 of the mics will be active. If anyone wishes to speak, what you need to do is line up in front of one of the 3 mics. And what I will do is go one by one through each mic, and I'll recognize you and allow you to speak. When you step up to the mic, if you wish to have a comment or you have a question, I ask that you just provide us with your name and what town you're from, and then you can pose your question or your comment. It's going to be important to try and keep our comments concise and brief today to the extent we can. For example, if we have 600 people here today, if everyone took 1 minute to speak, we would be here for 10 hours. So we don't want to do that. But we do want to let everyone have an opportunity to speak today to the extent you wish to do so. My job as the moderator is to try and do 2 things. 1, let folks have their say, and 2, try to keep the meeting moving along so that we don't get repetitive. Once we reach a point where it looks like we've had a majority of the folks speak or that the comments are getting repetitive, I will likely call the question and ask for a vote. And to the extent anyone disagrees with me, you can have a point of order, you can raise your hand, come to the mic, and say that you want the conversation to continue, etc. The bottom line today is I'm the one as the moderator that tries to make the first decision about how we proceed, but you folks control the meeting. Anything I do can be overridden by you as a group. This is your meeting. So I want to try and keep things moving to the extent I can. And I want you to keep your comments precise. I want them directed to me. I want us to all be civil as possible today. We all have strong opinions, and I appreciate that. But the goal here is to make sure that you voice your opinion in a way that doesn't point fingers at others, et cetera, and provides positive comments for others to consider as they decide how to vote. A couple of other things that I want everyone to understand when it comes to the petitioned warrant article. That petitioned warrant article will be voted on in a secret ballot. If you are a registered voter in town, you should have received a packet like this. We will tell you which ballot to use. It will likely be ballot A, but we will tell you. What we will do after the comments are concluded, and once I call the question, we have 3 ballot boxes in the front of the room. Anybody that has a ballot and is a registered voter in town will be proceeding up to the ballot boxes to place their ballot yes or no on that question when we get to that point in time. I'll work out the details. Likely I'll have the folks on this side of the room use that ballot box, folks in the middle here, and the folks on that side use that one. We will have 2 supervisors of the checklist at each ballot box to monitor. We will also have the supervisors of the checklist count the ballots once we are done. The law requires that we keep the ballot box voting open for 1 hour once we open the ballot process. For those in the auditorium, to the extent you're there, I don't know how many are down there, but if you are there, you in the auditorium are allowed to come down also to have your say at the microphone. I have an assistant moderator in the room, Glenn Pogust, who will direct you down and allow you to come in. Once you're done with your comment, you can proceed back to the auditorium, and then once we call the question and have a vote, those in the auditorium can come up and vote just like all of you in the room, so they'll participate as well. I believe that is all I need to cover for the introductory section of the meeting. I know that the chair of the school board, Allison, I believe, has some comments she wants to make at the beginning to recognize a few individuals from the school district, and then we will start with Article 1. So Allison, go ahead.
Is this on? Yes. Good morning, everybody. My name is Allison Maston. I'm the school board chair. I live in the town of Wilmot. I'd really like to thank you guys for coming today to the 2025 deliberative session. In 15 years on the board, I've never seen this many people, and I really hope this can continue from here on forward, because it's very important, no matter what we're talking about, that we have community support in everything that we do. And I know we're all here today because we care about our 7-town community for whatever reason, but we all care, and it's very important to care about our future. The first settlers came to our country with a vision of self-determination. They created the New England Town Meeting, giving the community a say in matters that were important to all. 400 years later, meetings such as today's remain the heartbeat of American democracy. Direct democracy succeeds when the community takes an active role. Today and throughout the year, your voices guide us as we provide the best possible education for our students. So on behalf of the entire school board, I sincerely want to thank you for being here today. And I do know that a lot of people had to change their schedules, had to get babysitters. I really want to thank the New London Outing Club and any other organization that rearranged game schedules and practice schedules for today so that everybody who wanted to could be here. I do have 2 school board members who are retiring from the school board this year, and I'd just like to thank them and recognize them for their service. Ben Cushing, who is one of the New London reps, has served as on our district school board, representing the town of New London for 9 years. Ben has also served on the Facilities, Finance and Audit, and Transportation committees. Thank you, Ben, for your thoughtful insight and commitment to our district. I would also like to recognize Kyle Lombard. Kyle has served for 3 years on our school board representing the town of Sutton. Kyle has also served on the Facilities Committee. Thank you, Kyle, for your time, dedication, and service to the Kearsarge Regional School District. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, folks, let's get started. What I'm going to do is turn to Article 1. This is the operating budget for the school. The process is I will read the full article. I have to, by statute. I will do that. Then I'll turn it over to Allison, the chair of the school board, to provide comment on that. And then I'll open it up for public comments and questions. To the extent you are interested in having a comment or question on that Article 1, feel free to come up to any one of the 3 mics. If you're out in the auditorium, feel free to come on down. We'll walk through those questions and comments, and then ultimately we'll move on to the next warrant article. But let's start with Article 1. Article 1, to see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the Municipal Budget Committee's recommended amount of $55,387,481 for the support of schools, for the payment of salaries for the school district officials and agents, and for the payment for the statutory obligations of the district. The school board recommends the $55,387,481. The article does not include appropriations voted in other warrant articles. This warrant article asks the voters to raise and appropriate for the support of the schools, the salaries of the school district officials and agents, and for the statutory obligations of said district, and authorize the application against said appropriation of such sums as are estimated to be received from state resources, together with other income, the school board to certify to the selectmen of each of the towns of Bradford, New London, Newbury, Springfield, Sutton, Warner, and Wilmot the amount to be raised by taxation by said towns. With that, I'll turn it over again to Allison Maston to provide comment on Article 1, and then I'll open it up to public comment. If you think you may have a comment, feel free to approach the mics.
Thank you. The 2025-26 operating budget proposed by the Kearsarge Regional School Board and the Municipal Budget Committee of $55,387,481 is an increase of approximately $1,066,950, or 1.96% from the 2024-25 budget. The areas of increase within the school board's operating budget are a result of a variety of factors that I'm about to explain in the following paragraphs. Wages and fringes. The requested budget for 2025-26 reflects a net decrease of 1.5 full-time educators, to be a teacher. Decrease were 3 full-time teachers during school year 24-25. Added was 1 full-time educator at the preschool level, a 0.5 full-time educator as a middle school math specialist. In addition, 1 non-teacher full-time educator was added for a curriculum director and 1 full-time educator for an SAU receptionist. As a result, the wage line for employees requires an increase of approximately $279,923, or 26.24% of the budget increase. The actual increase in health benefit cost for the school year 25-26 was a 9.38% increase from the current 2024 health effective rates. Based on this increase, health benefits alone represent 70.97% of the total budget increase, or $757,202. Included under other payroll benefits are dental, life, long-term disability, worker compensation insurances, taxes, workshops, and tax-sheltered annuities. The overall other payroll benefit increase represents 6.99% of the total budget increase, or $74,581. New Hampshire state retirement decreased to 10.84%, or $115,613. Our out-of-district costs for the 2025-26 school year are estimated to be a decrease of $9,090, or 0.85% of the budget decrease at this point in time. Each year, out-of-district special education costs are very fluid and are driven by a variety of factors. Those factors include the ability of our local staff to meet the needs of intensive, behaviorally or medically challenged students, families who move into the district, and the costs associated with delivering highly specialized services in environments outside of the district whose costs keep rising. We make every attempt to meet each child's needs in the least restrictive educational environment here at the district at our local level. There are times, however, when the child's special needs exceeds our local capacity to meet them. In addition, federal law also requires us to provide for those needs until the age of 22. Placements for out-of-district services can range from $80,000 per student per year to upwards of $300,000 per student, depending on the residential requirements. Included in this other operating costs. Included in other operating costs are textbooks, technology, contracted services, supplies, repairs, replacement equipment, capital improvements, new equipment, furniture, dues and fees, printing, telephone, copiers, assessment, and others. These costs reflect a total budget decrease of approximately 9.36% or $99,889. The other expenses, transportation represents 11.35% or $121,082 budget increase, and utilities, bonds, lease payments, and property insurance budget increased by approximately 6.53% or $69,664. Food service represents an increase in budget of 37% or $3,990. Federal funds represent a decrease of 1.40% or $14,900 of the decrease. Note, all federal dollars appropriated are offset by matching federal funds. The result is no effect to the local tax rate.
Thank you, Allison. So at this time, we have an opportunity to discuss the budget. If anyone wishes to do so, please step up to any of the mics. We will hear you out. I'll give you a moment to come up. We're going to go once, going twice. I see a couple folks, all right. Please announce yourself and let us know what town you're from.
Yes, Polly Lowe, Newberry.
Thank you.
I find when I go to vote in March, I really don't have a vote because I am offered two options which are exactly the same. So therefore, if I want to vote no, I just don't vote. I am on the Newberry Budget Committee, and we penny pinch every single thing for essential services, fire, police, ambulance, roads. And I find when it comes to the school budget, I have absolutely no input besides the person I elected to the Municipal Budget Committee. And she, fortunately, does her due diligence and questions some of the things in the budget, unlike all the other reps. So my question is, where's the transparency, and how can we as tax-paying individuals get more involved in what's happening with the school budget? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I'll turn it to any member of the school budget that wishes to respond, or the Municipal Budget Committee. Go ahead.
I'm going to speak to this, and I'm sure others might speak after. But the first thing I want to address is the way that our budget system is set up is determined by our district charter. And the last time that charter was altered was in 1997. And that is how we determine how many ballots there's going to be, how many votes. The Municipal Budget Committee and the school board work very hard together in a collaborative process for many, many weeks in the fall at meetings, at budget hearings, to try to come up with the budgets that we feel are the most responsible for our students to get the best education and for the taxpayers. The Municipal Budget Committee has had budgets in the past that are not the same as a school board budget. However, recently, we've been working much more closely together, and that just hasn't happened because they've agreed, after having their own budget hearings and people come to speak, on what we propose as a budget. It's not an arbitrary number. The Municipal Budget Committee doesn't just say, oh, sure, we're going to go with the school board budget. They work really hard, and they're basically the watchdog of our budget, and they go through it line by line in their own hearings to determine if they agree with it or if they feel like it should be a different number. I do know, because I did sit on the Municipal Budget Committee very many years ago, they're not going to arbitrarily just pick a lower number to pick a lower number. They trust in what the school board and the administration has asked for, and they trust that that's what's needed for the best education of our students, who are going to be the future of our community. The district taxpayers can be involved at the beginning. All of the hearings and the budget school board meetings are open to all public. They're all publicly noticed. They're on Zoom. Anybody can come to any of those meetings and speak and ask questions, give your concerns. You do have a say in the process. Yes, when it comes to the ballot, you do have to choose the budgets that are presented, but you have a say in the process way before that. And to be honest, we don't get very many people at those meetings, and based on today, I really hope that next year during our budget process, all of you show up and give your opinions and help us figure it out to make it best for the community, because we need all the input we can get.
Thank you. Anyone else from the school board wish to speak? Anyone from the Municipal Budget Committee? Thank you. Sir, come next.
I'm Bob Wright. I'm from Sutton. My question, I have two questions. One, the cost per student, what is that under this current budget? And two, how does that compare with regional school districts in the area?
Thank you for your question. Anyone wish to respond? Who should I turn to? They're looking to their business officer for information. Introduce yourself.
I'm Larry LaBeouf, Business Administrator. Next year's budget won't be calculated until the end of August, because I have to know what our final numbers are when the budget happens, if you will. I don't know where you...
Cost per student, and it has 32 was the...
I don't have the cost per student in front of me, but I'll have to get back to you on that, okay? Huh? I don't...
We need an answer to that.
Yeah.
Why don't you speak to the question if you have an answer?
No, this isn't...
Superintendent?
No, I know. No. When you look at our...
Introduce yourself first.
John Forney, Superintendent, apologize. When you look at the overall budget, basically we take the whole budget and then the number of students we have on October 1st, which is that, they call it an average daily membership rate. And then that gives us that $32,000 number, which is what we've had overall. So that's the total cost for comparatively. As far as, I can't tell you that we've done a deep dive on how that compares comparatively to other districts at this time.
Thank you for your answer.
With all due respect, you know exactly what the petition article are asking for. It's saying it's 27. And you cannot give me an approximation of what that is. I think that's pretty important, and I'm really disappointed.
Hold on, Bob. Thank you.
30.
Go ahead.
I could answer it per the school district's attorney.
Why don't you introduce yourself?
I will.
Go ahead.
Stephanie Spalding, Newbury, New Hampshire. Per attorney Barbara Lothman, that represents the school district, she has written to me, I was able to reach the business administrator. This year's operating budget divided by the October 2024 ADM is $33,720 per student.
Thank you for the clarification. Appreciate it.
That's all.
Yeah.
Off to your, go ahead, sir. Introduce yourself and tell us where you're from.
My name is Dick Wright, no relation to Bob Wright. A lifetime resident of Newbury, a retired biology teacher, and a past school board member of the Kearsarge School District for a period of 12 years. My thanks for everyone who came. It takes an issue like this to bring everybody out. For years, we've had fewer than 10 from each town show up. It is clear the district is overspending in many areas in my mind, and that it is not proper oversight with how our school district is managed. I believe what we are spending on education is not sustainable. In the last 5 years, budgets have increased over $10 million, and at current levels of spending, the school portion of our tax bill will increase to $75 million in 10 years from now, a 50% increase. This is not acceptable. The fact that our school enrollments have dropped by almost 17%, mostly because young families cannot afford to live in our state or in our school district. Kearsarge is number 66 in the state, over 160 school districts, meaning 65 districts are doing better in math, science, and college preparation than our school district. Many are doing this at a much lower student cost than what Kearsarge has. We should be doing much better than this, or developing programs of instruction to make improvements in our students' academic abilities. Issues such as class size and course content should have parent input. Currently, parents and residents have been refused access to any of the programs of study offered by the district. No questions are asked by the school board or budget committee on expenses that are presented to the board. A motion is made, seconded, and voted on without much of any clarification to the public. Every student gets a free computer. Does this impair early and proper brain development in children? Children are not being challenged in thought and critical thinking when they can consult artificial intelligence to get an answer to a question. That in itself is promoting indoctrination by artificial intelligence in that it is teaching students what to learn and not how to learn. Our students need to be taught basic skills in math and not through social agenda programs like Common Core Math. Students don't even know how to make change in a store. We also need to eliminate SEL, social emotional learning, and other programs with a political agenda and mostly pushed by the federal government, and bring back education to a local, more relevant content. Taking these and other steps to make education relevant to us will go a long way towards making education in the school district more sustainable in the future.
Thank you for your comment. I'm going to go to this side of the room, then the middle, and then I'll be back to this microphone. You're up next, sir.
Thank you. I'm David Bates from Warner, parent, and I would like to disabuse the audience of some of the falsehoods the previous speaker just said. As a parent, I've never had trouble finding out what's being taught in classrooms. My kids are not being indoctrinated by anyone. And the town of Newbury spends 4 times per citizen what the town of Warner does. So if you have trouble in Newbury, I would look at your town government. And I'll just say that I watch a kid before school because his mother needs to get down to Manchester to get to work. I watch a kid after school because his parents are working. Both of those kids need special services. My kids have needed special services in the past. Cuts in the budget fall first on kids that need special assistance to stay at grade level in math and English. Cuts to the budget fall on kids that are struggling at home in bad environments. Cuts to the budget fall on the kids that need it the most. I was on the budget committee at one point in the past, and I can tell you that the budget committee having its own budget line on the ballot is the leverage the budget committee has in its negotiations with the school board. The fact that they end in the same place is because they have bargained with each other. And I would just say the budget committee from Newbury, who this year voted or proposed a 3% increase in the budget, and then signed a petition for a 17% decrease in the budget next year, needs to do a little more diligence, and if she can't, she should resign.
Thank you for the comment. You're next, sir. Oh, hold on.
Stephen
Yes.
Schultz.
Hold on 1 second. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name's Claire Kettler, and I want to respond. I'm the Newbury elected Municipal Budget Committee member, and I did not vote in favor of the budget. I did try to negotiate a reduction, a small amount of 0.54%. I thought the school board did a great job with the collective bargaining agreement, and that would have only brought it to 3%, but no one was in agreement. I also didn't agree with the curriculum development specialist because I thought it was another administrative position that they could not provide any data that it would increase our student outcomes. So I voted against the budget, so I'm just clearing the record. I didn't feel as an elected member could make any difference. And I would like all of you to please come to the meeting so that you can see what's actually happening on the Municipal Budget Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for catching my eye. I appreciate it. You're up, sir.
Hi, Stephen Schultz from Newbury. I've done a lot of research actually on that cost per student number, and it's actually, it's complex. Most communities around the country and in this state calculate the cost per student as the cost to educate the student. It does not include the cost of facilities. Nationally, the average is right around $20,000 to $23,000, depending where you look. In New Hampshire, it's right around $20,000 to $23,000 average cost to educate our students. Kearsarge cost to educate our students is right in that level. Because we are a regional school district and that regional district owns these facilities, we must include the cost of facilities in our budget to properly allocate those facility costs properly to our communities, which gives an artificial number that is higher than most schools. When you compare us to most schools, we're right in line with our cost per student education, the cost for teachers, the cost to educate our students. All other communities that have the towns that own their facilities don't include those facility costs as the costs of educating students. So our cost per student educational number is right in line with the norms.
Thank you for your comment.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to clarify that because the DOE cost per student is what I'm used to. Article 32.5E is done differently. That's where you take the total budget divided by the October 1st enrollment. I work with another way of doing it that the DOE wants us to report. It's less transportation, it's less out-of-district tuition, you don't include summer school, you include food service revenue. So that calculation I was trying to explain earlier happens at the end of the year, this fiscal year coming up.
Thank you. We'll go to this side and then we'll move back over on here. You're up, ma'am.
Good morning. My name is Liz Dever and I'm a resident of Sutton. Today, as I listen to the concerned voters of the district, I can sense that regardless of which side you're on...
Ma'am, can I ask you to move the mic down so we can hear you?
Oh, okay, sorry.
Thanks.
Regardless of which side you're on, the education of our children is top priority. Yet, we must not forget who is footing the bill for this. I have lived in Sutton for over 20 years, and every year my taxes for the school seem to rise, yet the student population decreases. In 2005, there were over 700 students at Kearsarge High School and only 2 administrators. The SAU had a superintendent. There were 3 assistant directors of student support services for the entire district. That was when the student population was near its peak. Flash forward 2025, the high school has 430 students, approximately, 3 administrators. The SAU has an assistant superintendent and 6 assistant directors of student support services. Compared to 2005, there are a little more than half as many students at the high school, but 1 additional administrator, an additional superintendent, and 3 additional assistant directors of student support services. The total cost of these 5 additional positions is about $438,000, and that is not including benefits. This is just a tip of the iceberg of wasteful spending. These positions are non-essential, but educational services in its wasteful spending to have these additional staff on our payroll when the student population is so low. Perhaps through attrition and the purging of unneeded administration throughout the district, we could cap the spending for each child at $27,000, keep our taxes in check, and our students receive a quality education.
Thank you for your comment. Go to this side.
Andrew Pinard from Bradford. I served on the school board for 12 years and in part as representative of the school board on the Municipal Budget Committee as well. So I applaud both the Municipal Budget Committee and the school board for their diligence in preparing a budget every year. It is a challenging process. I also am the parent of a student who graduated from Kearsarge, who recently got her Master's of Science from an accredited university and will be teaching at the university. So I can attest to, at least in our circumstance, of having 1 student come out of Kearsarge with a very solid education with all of the considerations that there are in a rural district. I would like to speak, I was going to wait till the second article to speak to this, but one factor in the costs of the schools that has been referred to are the total overall expenses and the average daily membership. And I would remind everyone that in part, we are seeing an attrition at the school district level as people are paid to send their students to private schools and religious schools as part of efforts of the legislature in Concord. That money was originally budgeted to not exceed more than $500,000, and at least last I knew, it was well over $23.5 million. Every year, that number has gone up at the state level, and those students who are being moved away are taking some of the revenue from the state away from supporting the local school districts. Also, we were recently notified, all the school districts were notified to expect less money from the state, therefore downshifting more of those expenses on the backs of local property owners. So when you vote for who you send to Concord, that's a significant factor. But realistically, the budget, as you know from having a household, your electric bills have all gone up substantially, your heating bills have gone up substantially. Cost of living may not be in alignment, but in a lot of places, most homes, maybe not those on fixed incomes, but most homes have seen an increase over the years because of competition in the marketplace. So the costs that make up this budget are realistic numbers from the environment that we live in. And so while there may be circumstances that you can cut certain aspects, to speak to the comment that was just made earlier, $438,000 is not $10 million.
Thank you for the comment. I understand someone from the school board wishes to respond. Just one moment. For those of you in the room, please let me know if you have extra seats. I understand that not only is the auditorium full, but we are now filling up the cafeteria. So for those of you who are in the cafeteria and can hear me and are standing, we do have a few seats in the gym, probably 15 to 20 seats. Some of them are up close in the front, and if you're brave enough to try it, come on down. We'll find some seats for you. All right, with that, go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you. Kristen Schultz, Newberry. As I listen to all the discussion in this room, I do want to emphasize that there is indeed a critical education funding crisis. Not because the school board and the municipal budget committee put forward a 3.5% budget increase, but because the state of New Hampshire outright refuses to pay its fair share of education costs. Not only is New Hampshire dead last in state education contributions across the entire nation, but in November 2023, a New Hampshire court ruled that the state's $1,400 per student contribution was unconstitutionally low and ordered the state to pay a minimum of $7,356 per student. Instead of complying, the state is appealing this ruling and then passed Ed 306, which guts its own education standards simply to justify further funding cuts. Guys, Kearsarge is not taxing people out of their homes. The state is. And they're doing this by placing nearly the entire cost of education at the local level. The solution to this funding crisis is not a petition warrant article that would permanently cap this district's ability to provide students with an education that they need to succeed in the 21st century. If this petition is truly about tax relief and not just part of a broader attack on education, then I urge both sides, all sides in this room and across this entire state to join forces, demand the state pay at least the minimum court-ordered constitutional contribution, and to stop pitting communities against one another by forcing us to choose between quality education and livable tax burdens.
Your turn, sir.
Thank you. My name is Benjamin Anderson. I'm from New London, and I was wondering if I could pass a motion to suspend debate and begin voting.
So the short answer is yes. We are still talking about Article 1. I will entertain that motion. What I will do is ask for a yay and nay on to suspend discussion on Article 1, at which point we will then move to Article 2. So with that, let's have that discussion now. I have a motion to suspend debate on Article 1. Do I have anyone that is willing to second that? I see it back here. Now I'm going to do an yay and a nay. All in favor of suspending debate on Article 1, which would move us to Article 2, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed to suspending debate, say nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it. So with that, folks, we'll still have an opportunity to discuss the budget, but here's what we are going to do. We are going to move to Article 2. Let me explain just for a moment on Article 1. Under our school district charter, the way it works is Article 1, as prepared by the school board and by the Municipal Budget Committee, automatically go on the ballot no matter what for us to vote on at our March election. If there were an amendment to that, it would simply be added as another option on the budget. There's no actual vote on Article 1 today. It actually occurs at our town meetings. With that, let's turn to the petitioned warrant article, Article number 2, while many of you are here today. Here's how we will proceed. This is a petitioned warrant article. I will read it out loud, and then I will turn to one of the petitioners and ask them to speak to the petitioned warrant article. I'll give them a few minutes to state their rationale for presenting it, what they're trying to achieve, and then we will open it up. I'll have some school board members comment to address the petition, and then we'll do the same drill. We'll open it up to the public for those to come to the mic to speak, and we'll be speaking to Article 2, which is the petitioned warrant article to impose a cap. So with that, let me get a drink of water, and I will read the petitioned warrant article, Article 2.
Point of order.
Yes.
If there are people in line, they should be able to speak before you close it out. And you did not do that.
I understand, sir, but we have folks that are already starting to speak to Article 2, and we have a majority of the folks, a vast majority that wish to continue moving forward with Article 2.
The people that were at the mic should have been allowed to finish and speak.
Thank you. I appreciate your comments, sir.
You control that.
I understand, sir. Thank you. Article 2, Citizen Petition. Shall we adopt the provision of RSA 32:5E and implement a budget cap whereby the school board and municipal budget committee shall not submit a recommended budget that is higher than $27,000 per pupil total cost times the average daily membership in residence of the school district as of October 1 of the year immediately preceding the proposed budget year, plus an annual increase for inflation using CPIU for the Boston, Cambridge, Newton, Mass, New Hampshire area, published by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics as of January 1. This requires a 3/5 majority of the school district. This was submitted by petition. It is not recommended by the school board by a vote of 8-0, and not recommended by the Municipal Budget Committee by a vote of 5-0. With that, I would turn and recognize a member who was one of the petitioners for Article 2. Would you please step forward so you can articulate the rationale behind your petition? Thank you. Go ahead and introduce yourself and your town, please.
Hi, my name is Claire Kettler, and I'm from Newbury. And I'm also an elected member of the Municipal Budget Committee for Newbury. I'm a petitioner, I'm a voter, I'm a taxpayer, I'm a parent. And I got on the Municipal Budget Committee because I was tired of the numbers being the same. It just seems like if the Budget Committee was doing their job, the number would be higher one year or lower, but not the same number. Most people grumble and complain about their tax bill and think they might have to sell their property and move away, but I want everyone to know that you can do something, and this is an example of doing something. A budget cap is only one of a number of remedies. The $27,000 per student budget cap was borrowed from another school district, but it is a reasonable cost per student because last year we only spent a little over $29,000 per student because we were under budget by, we underspent by over $3 million. So if the school board had held the public hearings on the petition as required by New Hampshire law, the voters would have been able to ask questions in each town. New Hampshire budget law is not the only law the school board has ignored. The other is House Bill 1205. The time is right to enact a budget cap to bring transparency and trust back to the Kearsarge budget process. With the $2 million middle school bond payment expiring in 2026 and the almost $4 million that was underspent in 2024, the $27,000 per cap student cap is workable. What is being taught to our children when property damage against the petitioners is encouraged and obscene names are called on social media? I encourage every single voter and parent to get involved in the budget process, to make sure the budget cuts are fair and equitably distributed among the top-heavy administration first, and then among other departments and schools. And I'm really glad you all came today, and we can do this all again next year. Thanks.
Thank you for your comment. At this time, I'm going to turn to a member of the school board who has provided their rationale for not recommending the citizen petition. After the school board member speaks, I'll open up to the public and we'll allow for public comment. I believe it's David Keith, correct?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. To accomplish over a $10 million plus budget cut, the school board would be forced to look at closing and combining elementary schools, dismissal of staff, larger classroom sizes, eliminating sports and electives, reducing transportation services to students, as well as other services that are currently provided. In summary, the petition cap presented, if passed today by voters, would require the district to reduce an estimated budget for the 2026-27 school year by a minimum of $10 million, specifically $10,083,198. The school board and municipal budget committee do not recommend this article's passage. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comment. We're going to start in the middle, then I'll move to the left and then to the right. So go ahead, ma'am, you're up first.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Dr. Diane RoR. Most of you all know I'm a small town veterinarian in Bradford, New Hampshire. I also am a taxpayer outside of my commercial business as a Warner resident. I've been here for almost 25 years now, so I guess y'all are stuck with this Florida girl. But I have to tell you, I've learned so much in having had my sons grow up in this school district. Being a small town vet has been wonderful. I love all of you guys. What is better for me has been being the mother to 3 wonderful young men. Went through a very prolonged, very volatile divorce, and I will tell you this school district is the reason my 3 young sons are who they are today. It was not just me, it takes a village. Here's the deal. All 3 of my sons have high-functioning autism, and I watched this school district carefully manage finances, where they still met my son's needs, but they did it so carefully. I also watched and sat in school board meetings where we were trying to figure out where to spend money, and I've watched them cut budgets to the bone. Here they're proposing an increase of, I think, less than 2% in the middle of this inflation. That's amazing. Here's the deal. We're all feeling the crunch. I actually had to downsize my business. I think every one of us is really hurting, but we have to put education first. My biggest concern is, we know about special education, and we know about No Child Left Behind, and we know that every single student is afforded by federal law the right to a fair and equal education. I have grave concern if this budget is passed that whatever tax savings people are hoping to get are going to be eaten up in class action lawsuits because parents are going to stand up and say our children are not getting a fair and equal education, and there will be no cost savings. And the reason, thank you guys, the reason I feel that way is there are two lawsuits that have just been ruled on this past year. One is called, hold on, need the glasses, Rand versus State and Conval versus State. Twice we've been found that the state of New Hampshire has unconstitutionally been funding or underfunding the education. If we pass something so draconian and do a $10 million cut in our very broad school district, which is so much larger than any other school district in the state of New Hampshire, so it doesn't compare apples to other school districts. If we make that kind of draconian cut, we are opening up such a wide opportunity for lawsuit that it's not smart. And Kristen Schultz did speak very wisely that the state right now is trying to buck what the judge has ruled. They're spending their money to try to appeal. The reality is that we can make a difference. We can, do things at the state level to help the state bring more money to the school district, but this kind of a cut is just not wise.
Thank you for your comments. I want to remind folks to try and keep it brief. We want to make sure we can move through as many speakers as possible today. You're up next.
Good morning, Mr. Moderator, and thank you everyone for showing up. My name is Rody. I'm from New London, and I gave 15 dedicated years of blood, sweat, and tears to this building. I see so many of my former students returning from college. I see students in this audience who are from vet schools. I see students who are teachers in other school districts. I see students who are going to get their Juris Doctorates at Villanova University in this audience. Ma'am, I'm sorry. You need to take a little bit of a better look. We have students who are regenerating tissue. We have students in this building who are conducting advanced manufacturing.
Are you supposed to speak to him?
Excuse me, Mr. Rody, please direct all comments to me.
Sure.
And do keep it short, please.
Yes. Mr. Moderator knows me quite well. What I would say is it's harder to say no to a fire truck than it is to a school budget. It's harder to say no to a police car than it is to a school district budget. It's easy for us to look at our students and understand that a library expansion in the town of Newbury comes with no true material immediate benefit. It's a long-term benefit. Our students stand on the shoulders of giants. Those are your educators. I worked in a district this past year, and I will finish here, Mr. Moderator, where a 3 million, 3, not 10, district cut was made. 27 positions eliminated. That is 1/3 of the estimated number of positions that will be eliminated to this district. That district is still in the newspaper today because of the ramifications of one person. One.
Thank you for your comment. You're up next, sir.
I just wanted to very briefly respond to the representative from Newbury, because what I heard during her comments was she feels the system is broken and unresponsive, and yet somehow she was able to win election in Newbury, sit as an officer, discuss things, ask questions. Her real problem is no one agreed with her. And she feels that it's a great number, $27,000. I know how their number came. There's a 44-page PDF online. I can read through the budget. None of the petition signers have pointed out what lines they would like to zero out. None of the petition signers put this forward in time for there to be hearings. They submitted this at the last legal moment. The actual attraction is they get what they want without having to debate, without having to answer questions from the public, and then when it goes into effect, a minority of voters can prevent any increases to meet the needs of kids. It's anti-democratic, as all tax caps are anti-democratic.
Thank you. I'll be continuing public comment in just a moment, but our school district council would like to make a comment with respect to the notice period. And Mr. Bates's comment brought that right to the fore. So go ahead, Barbara.
Good morning. My name is Barbara Lohman. I'm the attorney for the school district, and I just want to explain briefly the issue with the public hearings and why they were not held. It's not the fault of the school board. It's the fault of the statute as it is written. When the legislature wrote this law, they did not contemplate that there are cooperative school districts with 5, 6, 7, or 8 sending towns. The petition warrant, and I'm just going to give you some dates. The petition warrant article was submitted December 5th. That was a Thursday. It takes 24 hours to get the checklist and verify the signatures, which is required by law in order to determine if the petition has been submitted by the required number of voters. That was done on December 6th. That was a Friday. The statute requires the school board to hold a public hearing in each town of the district, so that's 7 towns, at least 15, but not more than 30 days before the article is to be voted on. That meant that, and on top of that, the notice of the hearings must be published in a newspaper of general circulation at least 7 days in advance. So even assuming that the person in charge of arranging for publication was able to get the notice into the Monday, December 9th paper, the earliest public hearing would have to be Monday, December 16th. The school board would have to hold a public hearing for every night that week, and you would still be two hearings short, because the last date for the public hearing, 15 days before today, was December 20th. So it literally was not possible for the school board to comply with the requirement that they hold 7 public hearings in 7 different towns, giving 7 days notice in the newspaper, and complete that process at least 15 days before today, which is why the public hearings were not held. Again, the fault is with the statute itself, which did not contemplate that if you are a 5, 6, 7, 8 town cooperative school district and a petition warrant article is submitted on the final date for submission, as this one was, it is impossible to comply with that requirement, which is what happened here. Thank you.
Thanks for the explanation. You're up, sir. Coming to you next.
Yes, Russell Moore. I live in New London. I do not have children in the school system, but I am concerned about the quality of our education. I want to speak to the issue of the cap. I don't support that approach, but I do think that there is a legitimate concern about affordability in the towns that the school district represents. And the reality is that many young people who graduate from the school district can't afford to live here. So I think that it is our responsibility as citizens to really look at every aspect of the budget, make sure that we are being efficient, that we are maximizing the benefit of each program, each position, in terms of its value to the community and to the schools. But I think the cap, although I recognize the concern about the cost effectiveness of our education, is kind of an arbitrary and end-around approach, which is basically trying to address issues of the overall school budget by just making one arbitrary across-the-board cut. I don't think that's to our benefit, and I think that it's very important that we engage in a process with the school budget that is very iterative, that we have a lot of residents involved and participate in it. I think there are some legitimate issues around the increasing costs for the school budget, but I think the cap is not the appropriate approach to address those issues.
Thank you for your comment. Before I turn over to the room, I just want to address those folks in the auditorium and in the cafeteria. To the extent you wish to speak to Article 2, the petitioned warrant article, you should feel free to come down to the gymnasium. There are 2 or 3 or 4 people deep lines, but I do welcome you to participate as well. With that, I'll turn over to you, sir.
Yes, hi, I'm Ken Bartholomew. I'm the former chair of the school board before Allison. I was on the school board for 15 years. I've been a Warner taxpayer since 1996, and I've had 4 kids go through the Warner School District. My daughter, who came today, is a senior this year, last one. I just want to talk a little bit about tax caps. When I joined the school board in 2009, at that very first meeting that I attended, the school board had a difference with the municipal budget committee. The municipal budget had passed, and the school board cut $500,000 from the district. About 9 positions, mainly at the high school, pretty much ending the foreign language program as well at the middle school. It took many years to get that back. The last year I was on the school board, the administration came to the board with a budget, and the budget sent them back, or the school board sent them back and said, come back to us with a $500,000 less budget. So to say that the school board and the MBC never question what the school district's budget is and never cut it is just not true. It just isn't. Just last year, it didn't come before the voters, because before it even got to that point, the school board said to administration, you need to make extra effort to cut more out of this budget, and they did. And that was the budget that was voted on last year, and then the 3.5% increase proposed this year is based on that lower budget as well. But if a tax cap had been submitted and passed back when I joined the school board in 2009, think about what that would leave us with. Today, the taxpayers and the parents and the members of the district that are sitting here would not have the ability to pass a budget with a majority vote. We'd have to require a supermajority vote. Why? Because folks 15 years ago made the decision that a tax cap was a good idea based on the circumstances then. And back then, the state contributed substantial portion of costs to the district that it no longer contributes. It used to contribute 35% of the district's state retirement payments, which we don't have a choice about. The state tells us every year how much you have to put into the state retirement account. And now the district has to pay, for many years, 100%. I think it's 5% state contribution this year on a one-time basis, and it'll go back to 0% going forward. Special education, for another example. The state used to fund catastrophic state aid poorly, but better than it does now, and that is a cost when there's a special education student that comes to the district and their costs are higher than the state average, the state pays back the district. Is it at 100%? No, it's not. Why not? Because the state never fully funds their special education catastrophic aid account. And there are numerous other examples of where the state has just cut its revenue to the towns, the districts, the cities, the counties. That's how they balance the budget in Concord. And if we were saddled with a tax cap that many years ago, our taxes would be a little lower, but this district would have been decimated year after year after year. And I want to say one last thing about this cost per student number. It is an outcome determinative number. It is not how much it costs to send one extra student into the district. For example, if you have a 5th grade class at Simon School in Warner, and there are 19 kids in that class, and one other kid joins to make it 20, no problem. You add that kid, it costs almost nothing more. You don't have to get another teacher. The supplies are not very expensive. If you have 24 kids and another kid joins, 25, maybe 2 other kids join, 26, then you have to start another class. You have to hire another teacher. You might have to take over the art room. You might have to bring in a temporary classroom. If a student joins the district, and when I say joins here, I mean their parents move into the district, but they're a special education student that needs out-of-district support and out-of-district placement because they are severely special needs, this district and us taxpayers are responsible for those costs from age 3 to 22. We may never see that child in our school whatsoever, but that child could cost the district taxpayers over $200,000 per year. So that child's cost of education is much higher. That all gets factored into the school budget, and then you just divide it by the number of students, and that's how you come up with this per student cost. It's a horrible way to plan a budget, and I strongly encourage everyone to vote against this tax cap and any other tax cap that comes before this district ever.
Thank you. Thank you for the comment. We'll move on to this side of the room. Everyone, do your best to keep it brief. We want as many folks to speak as possible. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. My name is Luke Gorman, and I'm from Springfield. And I also received my entire public school education from the Kearsarge Regional School District, graduating in 2000. I have been a member of the Municipal Budget Committee for 7 years. I know there are other graduates of the district here today as well, and I can only assume that all of you are as proud as I am of the education this district provided us. I should also point out that my son is currently enrolled in 3rd grade at New London Elementary. If you are a parent or guardian of a current Kearsarge student, I am confident you recognize the value of the education your child receives on a daily basis. Today, though, as a graduate of this district, I am frankly sad. I am vehemently opposed to Article 2 and the tax cap it would impose on the district that helped make me the person I am today. If passed, we all know the implications: school closures and mass layoffs, just to name a few. The children educated in this district now will be the future leaders and innovators of our society. They deserve our investment in their future. And if we pass Article 2, that investment will disappear. We owe them more.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. For those of you who may have seen a ballot box disappear from the room, just so you know what's happening, we are deciding to put a ballot box out in the auditorium and in the cafeteria for those folks that were not able to get into this room. We're trying to move it faster when we get to that point of voting. So you're up, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. My name is Charlie Giles. I live in New London. I'm a very proud and very grateful graduate of the class of 1981 here at Kearsarge. We had to go to school armed with muskets in case of British attack. I'd like to start by thanking, I'll keep this brief, I'm so invested in this issue because I love this place and owe it so very much. Thank you, members of the school board, members of the Municipal Budget Committee. I served for a short time on both in both entities. I have coached and I have taught in this school district, and I know the effort that you put in, the hours, and I'm very, very grateful. And I'm glad that we have people watching we have watchdogs watching the budget and watching every penny, and I think that's wonderful. I thank you. That having been said, with your indulgence, Mr. Moderator.
So long as you're keeping it brief.
I will, yeah. Well, could I please ask all Kearsarge Regional School District educators to stand, if you would, please. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I want to make the point that budgets are important. Spreadsheets are important. But these professionals, these dedicated men and women, are not just an expense. They're not just red ink on a budget. They are a blessing, and we can never forget that when we're doing our numbers and our spreadsheets. We get far more bang from the buck in this district, as we did in my day. This place changed my life. This place changed my family's life. My daughter Molly was so inspired by the education and examples that she learned within the walls of this school that she is now very proudly a Kearsarge Regional School District educator. Now, that having been said, I've gone way longer than I wanted, but please indulge me.
I'm sure
I feel
you'll
so
be
very
wrapping it up
strongly.
quickly.
I will. Spreadsheets are good, but let me tell you something that I believe is going to happen that's not on a spreadsheet. If we continue to chip away at the educational budget, these are people that go 24 hours a day educating kids. It doesn't stop at 3 o'clock. It doesn't begin at 8 o'clock. These are people that give of their free time freely and lovingly. If we cut down the number of teachers, there's only 24 hours in a day. We are going to cut down the amount of individual education and individual educational experience that was so formative in my life and so important. And it's what makes Kearsarge Kearsarge. Okay? We can never do that. We need to give these people the tools to educate our kids. I want young men and women walking out of this building who are educated, confident, and ready to take charge and be leaders in our community. I cannot urge you strongly enough or more passionately to vote no on number 2. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments. Your turn, sir.
Scott Ward, Newbury. I got involved with this because there's a lot of misinformation flying around this school district about what's going on, what's going to happen, and how it's going to happen. There's nobody here in this room that disparages the teachers and the people that make this operation run. That's not the question. The question is, are we running this as a good business and following good business practices? Seeing I couldn't talk about your budget sheet, I'll now talk about some other things. Let's talk the numbers. So the numbers per student is figured without the facilities because every town has different facilities and every town has different districts. So you take that number out of it. The state average is $20K per student. You want to go to $32K per student. That's a lot of money. And what are we getting for it? Our SAT averages look pretty good at 1840. We have a 95% graduation rate. We have a 62% reading proficiency. We have a 37% in math. And we're 34% in science. We're 44th in the state out of 85 schools. Yep. We're in the middle of the pack, guys. And the math and the science are deplorable. Nobody here is talking about in the budget how we fix that. Because we have a problem. You don't do science, you don't do math, you don't get a job in the future. Okay? That's where it's at. I understand that you guys had $4 million left over from last year's budget. Is that true? Yeah? Somebody?
So I understand it is 2.8? 2.8.
No, that's what you brought forward. The overall money was 4, according to your budget numbers.
What? Continue with your comments, sir.
So if you had 4 there, and you have $5 million in management reserve, which you have 10% of the $55 million, that's $9 million. That gets you to the 27,000 per student number in my math book. No schools canceled, no football athletic programs canceled, no buses canceled, no teachers fired. Nobody wants the teachers fired. You guys did a great collective bargaining with us. The numbers are great. Nobody has a qualm with you. We have a qualm with the overhead, and the overhead is out of control. And if we don't get it out of control, it will not be sustainable. I have people in my neighborhood that had $10,000 tax bill increases this year. Okay? How many people in this room could pay that bill? Can I see a hand? Anybody? That's going to happen again next year if we don't get this under control. There has to be a fine balance between a great education and what we're spending per student. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Oop. We'll have a quick response from the school board, then we'll start on this side of the room and move our way across. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you for your statement, Mr. Ward. I do want to clarify one inaccuracy. The $32,000 per student is the all-in cost. That is the facilities, the transportation, the sports, the whole kit and caboodle. The cost of education, which is separate from the all-in cost, is about $21,000 per student, and that is right in line with the state average. So that $32,000 per student, we are not asking that as an increase for education of the student, plus then an additional cost per student for the all-in cost. So just a clarification on that point. Thank you.
You're up, ma'am.
Good morning. It's wonderful to see such a great crowd here. My name is BB Casey. I'm a resident of New London. I served honorably on the school board for 6 years. I'm currently serving as a selectman for the town of New London. I also, while I was on the school board, I was the rep to the Municipal Budget Committee, so I know how hard both these groups work diligently on this budget. This petition is an attempt at an easy fix to a problem that we are all seeing, and that's an increase in our property taxes. The root of the issue is at the state level. The state continues to walk away from its constitutional responsibility to fund public education. The education funding model is a travesty in that it depends mainly on revenue from property taxes. New Hampshire is ranked 50 in the percentage of funding from state sources for local school districts. So before we start talking about caps, we must fix the way education is funded in this state. Please vote no on this petition to put this warrant article on the, to vote no on this petition, and on Monday, call your legislators and demand that they do the work that needs to be done to find another revenue source to fund public education and get rid of the Education Freedom Account.
Thank you for the comment. You're up, sir.
John Dean from Newbury. I didn't grow up in Kearsarge, but 14 years ago we moved to this district. Big major reason was for the school system that I didn't have when I was a kid. And I'll tell you, all year long I'm always doing something with kids, either with sports, football, baseball, skiing, or whatever. And I get to see all these kids in this community. And to think that these people want to take money away from these kids to be able to grow and all that stuff is it's just disheartening. And I just wish that people would realize these kids are the future. These kids are the next school board meeting, or people in municipal and selectmen and all that. These are our future. And it's just, I'm trying to keep my calm about this all, but it's just, I just wish people would see that these young kids is what's going to be driving us when we're all old. And,
Thank you.
But I also would like to say, I know a couple of people have mentioned this, but I have a 13-year-old that's an out-of-district school kid. He struggled with his behavioral issues in the school, but thankfully he had a lot of teachers, a lot of people behind him that came to this program, let him send him to a different school, and now he is thriving. He is doing awesome in his school grades. He's not getting in trouble. And for these people who want to take that opportunity away from my child, that really angers me. And I'm going to leave it at that.
Thank you for your comment. You're next, ma'am.
I'm Bambi Davis from Newbury. And thank you, Claire, for bringing this petition to the school.
Ms. Davis, can you pull your microphone down so we can hear you?
Is that better?
Yeah, and step closer, please.
I can't hear her.
Thank you.
So we, as Kearsarge, rank 44 out of 85 schools. I went to Kearsarge. I'm a class of 76. Got to beat Charlie. My kids went to school here as well, and it's an awesome school. But there is some excessive spending. I did read the 44-page budget. Whoever said people don't, because I used to be a bookkeeper. and I understand these lines, and I went through it line by line. And I saw places where the budget could be cut. But I did want to bring to light that I looked at college educational costs in the state of New Hampshire. Like Keene State College only costs $11,754 for its tuition. Of course, there's room and board and things that are added on, but people don't live here in these buildings and have to pay room and board. And actually, the average tuition for college in the state of New Hampshire is $12,201. So, if you can go to college for an average of $12,201 per student, why aren't we able to bring our educational costs down? $27,000 cap, I think, is very reasonable, especially when a board member says it only costs $21,000 to educate a child. Our children, they can't read or write cursive. It's not being taught anymore.
Did she say
Keep talking, ma'am.
So they can't even read our original fundamental documents like the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution. Only 3% of the children in this state can pass a citizenship test because they aren't taught civics and constitutional law. So our students are being dumbed down and our costs rise. So what is the benefit of the rising costs? I really think the budget should be revisited. 42% of my property taxes in Newbury go to school funding. 28 go to the town, 11% to the state, and 19% to the county. 42%, that's a lot. Yeah, our taxes went up 64% this last year, which gives the school an additional $800 for our household alone. I really think that there's overspending in the budget, and executive administration can be cut. I think people's wages are high. I think the amount... The superintendent makes...
Let's let her have her say.
The superintendent makes $117,300 a year. The assistant superintendent, $142,689. Business administrative, $137,653. And I'm looking at all 85 different school districts, and there are a few districts that do get paid more for their executives. But I really think it's a little out of line, and that we could cut in many areas. We don't have to have the huge amount of money for the 13 new cafeteria school tables that we're going to be buying.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll ask you to wrap it up, if you would, please.
People could be a little more conservative. I agree with the $27,000 cap.
Thank you for your comment. I believe one of the school board members wanted to respond, and then we'll get back to the public. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Hi, this is Patrick McGowan, Warner rep, and not necessarily a direct response to them, but I'm the new guy. I specialize in dumb questions, which I think can help the process. And if I'm here like 6 years from now, I'll still identify as the new guy, so that's just my thing. But I wanted to give you the perspective of the new person on the school board kind of going through the budget process. And I hate paying taxes. I don't like it. You know, I want to try to find areas that can save us money or so. But budgets are tough once you get into them. It's very easy to stand on the perimeter, look at highball numbers, or even look through a budget on your own and not know the context. You can look and see, oh, hey, there's this administrator job. Sure, we could get rid of that. And then you ask questions. Well, that administrator is covering a mandate. And if we don't have that mandate, it's going to cost us twice as much for that. Or that boiler that's just kind of leaking. Maybe we can scoop by another year for that. But what if it breaks down in the middle of the year and it costs us twice as much? I really, really appreciate the perspective of wanting to be conservative and to want to look at the budget. And I would encourage that spirit to get involved at a detailed level, asking questions of the administration, asking questions of the school board. Roll up your sleeves. Maybe there are opportunities for it. But I worked in public policy in the Medicaid program for like 18 years. That's a huge cost to the state. And it's not that easy once you start rolling your sleeves up in it. It's not impossible. But I think we can all benefit from it, and I encourage the spirit, but I just want to leave you with that.
Thank you. Sir, you're up.
Thank you. My name is Matt. I live in Sutton with my wife, Sarah, and we have 3 kids. Just a couple points to get some clarity and further understanding. So I would like to hear what are some of the bottom line details for how it would affect our property taxes, what the increase would look like. The second point is there are many excellent private schools that charge $3,600 or less per student, and the Education Freedom Account provides $3,800 a year for parents' educational costs. So why would we exceed $27,000 per student for those costs? And many of those private schools also test a lot higher than these schools here.
Thank you for your questions. Anybody from the school board want to respond? Go ahead.
Thank you. So the requirements for private versus public schools are different, and private schools, if they don't have the expertise to educate higher need children, they do not have to accept them. Public schools accept every single child that enrolls in our schools.
Excuse me, Kristen, I think that's a fair point, but there are private schools that also accept special needs children.
I'm sure there are, and I'm sure that
rates.
there, and I don't know them off the top of my head, but as an overall educational structure, private schools are not mandated by the same laws as public schools, and I would wonder about the cost of tuition for those schools. So I'm not speaking specifically, I'm speaking as a general model of how private schools work versus public. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. We're going to move
sorry,
over to the
could you
middle.
also answer about the bottom line details on the property costs?
Can you restate the question just so we're clear?
The first part of the question, thank you for your time, is what's the bottom line for how it would affect property taxes? What would the increase look like?
And by it, what do you mean? Sorry.
Well, I think in Article 1, you were looking to raise some funds, correct?
That's correct. I think the total increase of the budget this year was 3.54%. So the school district portion of your tax bill would go up 3.54%.
In property taxes, or are you just talking about the increase in the budget percentage?
That flows through property taxes, which is how it's paid.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You're up, sir.
Thank you. I've already addressed you guys before. My name is Ben Anderson. I'm from New London.
And so, Ben, now that you're a second time, I'm going to ask you to go very quickly so we can get others.
Okay.
Go for it.
I just want to say that I'm a current high school student. I've gone to both Kearsarge, and then I was really lucky. I got a really nice scholarship and went to SPS. And Kearsarge costs $33,000 a year. St. Paul's costs like $105,000 per year. Kearsarge has had some classes that rival those at SPS. I see some of my former teachers. We have Mr. Keene, Mr. Lee, Mrs. Nelson. I think Mrs. Morcom was back there, Mr. Selby. These people are great teachers. They do an incredible job. And they literally can challenge a school that has all the money you can possibly imagine. They can put together a curriculum that is so good. And that is why I do not support this cap. I believe we should continue to invest in this school, and I really do strongly believe that this school is a great school.
Thank you. Get you in 1 second. Yes, you had a question or response?
I just want to say something really quickly. When you're comparing private schools and colleges to public education, it's really comparing apples to oranges. Colleges and private schools have humongous endowments that helps pay to educate the kids there, and they pay, these private schools, a lot of them pay a lot of money to go there. So you really can't compare the cost of $13,000 at Plymouth State to paying $32,000 for a kid to go to Kearsarge, because we don't have an endowment, we don't have fundraisers, we don't have a development office, and that's how colleges and private schools offset some of the costs. So I just wanted to reiterate that.
Thank you. We're going to head to this side of the room. You're next.
My name's Rebecca Parker Bryson. I'm from Warner. I'm a former Kearsarge student, graduated 1998, and I was lucky enough to have the special ed department help me survive in school. And I need to advocate for the kids because I have worked as a paraprofessional with them as well. And if this goes through, they're the ones that are going to get hammered first, and it will be detrimental to these children. They get paired up with paraprofessionals, and they need to stay with those people to keep consistency for them so they can strive. And if you pull this out from under them, we might as well say screw the rest of our generation, because we're all going to be screwed when we're older. These kids are going to take care of us once we can. Do we want to educate them so they can do it properly? I sure as heck do, and I don't really care how much money we have to spend. And if we're going to focus on the money of this, none of you are here for children. And that's why we're here, is for the kids. And just so people know, Proctor Academy in Andover that takes special ed students, $46,000 a year for non-boarding, $75,000 for boarders. There's no comparison. Don't forget our children.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment. You're up next, sir.
Thank you. Steve Pierce, Bradford, New Hampshire. I offer support not for the petition warrant, but for good reasons to move the warrant today on to the March ballot so that every voter in the Kearsarge district can have an opportunity to vote on this petition warrant article.
So I'll jump in and discuss this, and we'll have council jump in if necessary. For all of you in the room, just so you know, our school district charter requires that this type of ballot be decided today and today only. It cannot go on the ballot for the March meetings. My understanding of the rationale for that is that the only warrants that are allowed on the ballot for our March meetings are those that are appropriating specific dollar amounts, and that is the reason we have to have the discussion today. I appreciate your sentiment. I understand many folks would like a larger majority of folks to vote on it, but the short answer is our district charter does not allow it. Today is the day for the vote.
Now, does that mean if it votes in favor, it will be included?
No. Whether it is voted for or against, whether up or down today, it will not be on the March ballot, and by our charter, it cannot be on the March ballot. All of you sitting here today and in the auditorium and in the cafeteria, it is your vote today that makes the decision.
Very good.
Thank you for the question.
One more item.
Yes.
The reason I originally brought it up is because we are in a unique situation in Kearsarge. We can never, ever vote down a school budget. We can only vote for a school budget or ignore the question on the ballot. And that was settled over a decade ago by the courts. That is highly unreasonable for all of the voters, and it does not convey to the school board year in and year out the sentiment of the voters. And I have no qualms with the pricing. I have qualms with the inability for the voters in Kearsarge to vote down a school budget.
Thank you. I appreciate your comment. The only comment I'll make is that's why under the charter we have a school board, and why we have a municipal budget committee is to prepare the budget for the towns to vote on. That's my only comment. We'll move on to the middle of the room and we'll keep going. Thank you, ma'am. You're up.
Thank you. My name is Amy Lewis. I'm a resident of Springfield. I am a 1992 graduate of Kearsarge. My daughter currently is a freshman. My son graduated last year and is in the 5 years master's program at Keene State, which I assure you is a lot more than $11,000 a year. We have had fantastic experiences with Kearsarge. The programs offered now through the years that my son was in high school and what my daughter is experiencing, I wish that we had when I was going through the high school. And I will fight to protect that ability for future students to experience as long as I am able. Another piece of what has been touched on by Charlie and by some other residents is that we have a duty to respect our teachers and to support our teachers and make sure that our kids are getting the best educators that they can. My mother retired 10 years ago after 20 years in the Kearsarge system. I have friends who are teachers now who are so burnt out by class sizes, by restrictions on purchases, on supplies, by other support, that they need all the support and help that we can get. By imposing a cap, that limits their wages, that limits their benefits. That's not the way to retain quality educators in this district. The only way to retain and gain educators is to support that staff, and that petition does not support that realization that we have to put not only our money and investment into our children, but also into the people who are teaching our children.
Thank you for your comments. I appreciate it. You're up next, ma'am, and we'll come to you.
Okay. Hi, I'm Heather Perigo. I'm from New London, and I belong in a spreadsheet and not at a microphone, with due respect to the spreadsheet haters. So I wrote this down so I wouldn't faint. First off, I would like to thank the handful of people who reached out to ask why Doug and I signed this petition. The number proposed isn't right. It's not right. And we understood when signing the petition that it would and could be changed at this very session. As much as I would love to dive into the numbers right here and now, and some of you know that this is very true, I've been gently reminded that perhaps I can just offer that option as a post-action meeting instead. I deeply appreciate that as finance execs, our family brings a different, and at least in this case, fairly informed perspective. Budgets are about sources and uses. In this sources side, we are not unique. High property taxes for local education are a statewide issue, and they hit unequally across our district households. State education funding is a constantly moving target, and this was aggravated post-COVID and created a lot of strain. For the uses side, school district audited financial statements show that over at least the past 3 years, the school budget has consistently been underutilized by close to $4 million annually. Yet the proposed annual budgets continually increase, including those items that are consistently underspent. The budgeting process currently in place isn't transparent, and together with the underutilization can obscure big movements in individual line items. Both federal and state funds are allocated on a per student basis. We looked at this as an opportunity to at least discuss as a community what doing the same locally could look like. Is there a benefit? Does it introduce an additional line of discipline for our sources, or is it needlessly restrictive and not helpful at all? There are a lot of big ticket items and related operating costs being presented in the next few years in every town. The school district needs infrastructure investment, and people are already hurting. This seems like a really good time to consider how to prioritize these very important decisions. Thank you.
Thanks for your comment. Come over to this side of the room. You're up, ma'am.
Patricia Janovitz, Sutton.
Please take a step closer to the mic so we can hear you.
So intimidating. So budgets are tough. We all know that. We all know that it would be easier to say, we spend it all, we want more, rather than where we can cut. And, you know, a budget of $5 million is more than I can think of. But I still think no matter how big the budget, we have to look at small ways to save because those add up. So, Simons Elementary has 2 kindergartens with 9 students in each. That's not spending our tax money appropriately. 9 kids in a classroom? The other thing is, I looked at the statistics online that 9% of Kearsarge students receive free or reduced price lunches. I'm all for that. No kid should go hungry. And I'm all for buying crayons for those 9%. But I don't understand why every student in this whole district from K to 5 doesn't have to buy, their parents don't have to buy school supplies and send to school. I don't want that 9% to go without crayons, but as a parent, you know, when my kids went through school, I provided the crayons. You know, I think we need to look for small ways to make big savings. I'd like to know what the incentive is for the school system to save money, and where I can find more data on class sizes and teachers, not just the ratio, because you can hide so much, or so much can be lost in broad figures. But you know, how many class sizes, what foreign languages are taught here, and what is the demand, you know? Because there are many ways to save.
Thank you for your comment. I appreciate it. Move to the middle of the room. You're up.
Okay, I might be one of the fainters, by the way. So I'm Jennifer Roberts. I live in Springfield. My husband and I haunted these halls. We're just going to leave it to the 90s and stay with that. We have 4 children that have attended Kearsarge, 2 who have graduated, 1 that is in the high school, and 1 that is in the middle school. And I would like to assure you, sir, that my 3 oldest children could definitely read the Constitution, and the 1 that probably can't is in the special education program, and cursive was taught during the COVID lockdown. I'd like to thank all of you for being here and putting in the time and effort and being paid what you have earned with your education. If you could pass that along to our superintendent, sir. The next thing I would like to say is, I'm going to try to keep this short. I'm going to echo what Amy Lewis said. I am worried as a parent and as a community member about educators and support staff burnout. As a parent of typical children and a non-typical child, I get to see kind of the best of both worlds, and I'm very, very grateful for the teaching staff, the educating staff, and the support staff that we have that have done a great job with educating my children, including my youngest. Try to keep it short. I'll check my notes here.
We appreciate you keeping it short. Your friends and neighbors do too.
Thank you. Oh boy. So if we burn our educators out, what's going to happen? They're going to leave. There's not a whole lot going on that's encouraging people to go to school for teaching right now. There's not enough people going into teaching. I am worried that we are going to continue with class sizes that are too large and put too many burdens and not have enough support staff, that we are going to lose our teachers who are fantastic teachers. Then what's going to happen? If we're talking about closing schools, school buildings, there's a housing crisis, and there is a hot button topic of affordable housing for many communities. If we close down one of our elementary schools, I assume most of us know which one is back on the chopping board, where are the kids going to go that would be displaced, and how would having affordable housing becoming available in our communities, we have a real possibility of having lots more kids come in. And if we've shut down a school and let the building kind of fall as it does, what are we going to do with those extra kids? How are we going to bus them? And these longer bus routes where we don't have enough bus drivers. They're doing a great job trying to keep everybody, getting transported to and from school. There's a lot of things that we really need to look at. And if we want to become more involved, which all of us should, and look at the budget and be a part of a solution, I've been more complacent than I'm proud of. I think everybody should start showing up and being more of a part of everything. And if you want to come in and share your opinions and your ideas, please have, oh boy, facts, statistics, a plan for any cuts that you're proposing that you make, because these affect my kids and these affect the people that are going to be your doctors. So, in the
Thank you
future.
for your comments.
Thank you.
Sir, you're up.
Thank you. I'm Dan Wolf from Newbury. Over the last 50 years, I've served on the school board for 18 of those years. And I retired as chairman, preceded Ken Bartholomew. You've got one great school district. Don't trash it with a cleaver. Find the little things that need to be improved that financially can help you. But a cleaver approach is absolutely wrong. But besides saying that, I'm asking you people in here, in the auditorium, in the cafeteria, to look at yourselves. Who was the last one to go to a school board meeting? Who was the one to go to a budget committee meeting? Nobody showed up this year at any of the budget committee meetings except those members. Don't look for a cop-out with a cleaver. Get involved and do something and make this district even better than it is by participating. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Thank you. We're off to this side next. You're up, sir.
Thank you. I'm Gene Duquette from Warner. And to begin with, I'd like to thank you all for the work you've done. It's hard. It's not appreciated at a lot of times. I've been there. I come out of industry. I went to become a teacher at Guilford High School for 23 years. And the reason why I did it, I wanted to give back. Listening to the response of the town, though, I would like to suggest another alternative to just yes or no. The school board at Guilford, where I taught for the 23, presented a budget to the town. We were in a recession, and they pushed back because they could not afford it. We were hurting. And at that point right there, they reverted back to the previous year's budget. What I would like to suggest, keeping it short, what I would like to suggest is to revert to last year's budget, given everyone time, after hearing everything going down, time to revisit these costs. Having been in the school system, I can see the pluses and the minuses and what you guys have to go through. But at the same token, I understand. And I used to sit there and I'd say, that gentleman that just spoke, his comment was perfect. These are our children. Give them everything they can, but you also got to be careful. And you got to look back and say, okay, did we really need this? And that's why I suggest go back and revert. This is just a suggestion.
Thank you. I appreciate the comment. I'll respond just briefly, just so you're aware of the process. My understanding is that the budget that's presented by the school board and the municipal budget committee is presented in a particular process that has to be followed with public meetings, et cetera. So the ballot, the number that will be on the ballot are those that were presented in Article 1. Of course, at any point in time, those that wish to change the budget can go speak to the school board and the municipal budget committee for next year and finagle the numbers in whatever way they prefer. But for this year, given the process, the budget that's going to be on the warrant article for the town meetings is the one for the school budget and municipal budget committee as shown in the Article 1. So for our purposes, the discussion now is Article 2. The petitioned warrant article would change it in the out years. With that, I want to turn to you.
Sir?
Yep. You're on. Bear with me 1 minute. We've had a request to call the question. I'm going to find that call the question out of order at this point in time, given the number of folks who wish to speak. However, at any point in time, the meeting can second that motion and have a vote, and it is your meeting. You can overrule my decision. But at this point, my view is we have a second. What I'm going to do, the question that is being presented is whether or not to call the question, which would stop debate and begin the voting process. Fair enough. All right. Thank you. I'm going to call a yay or nay vote. If we do, in fact, pass that calling the question at this time, I'm going to let all of those folks who are at the microphones still present their question. I was called on that a moment ago, and a fair point. So what I'd like to do is anybody that wishes to speak as of now should come and get in line at the microphone, and then I'm going to do the call the question. All right, let's call the question. Here we go. I'm hearing the crowd. The question on the table that everyone's going to be voting on is whether we are stopping debate and starting the balloting process. All in favor of calling the question, say aye. Aye. All opposed to calling the question, say nay.
Nay.
Oh, I think the ayes have it. All right, with that, here's what's going to happen. I will allow all those folks that are in line currently to speak. We've got, it looks like about 10 or so people. After that, I'll explain the balloting process. Just so you all are aware, by statute, we will open the balloting. You will be placing your ballots in the box, and we will keep the voting open for 1 hour. That is required. That will allow all of us to vote. We will, once people have their opportunity to vote, if we still have time in that hour, I'll move on to other articles to discuss them, and then we'll wait for the vote. But as of now, what I'm going to do is let the final folks present comments, and then we'll move to the balloting process. You're up.
Excuse me, sir. Might I finish my statement?
Yes.
Thank you. When you had said, I understood the fact of how this whole system is set up. My only point was I want to bring it up for you to think on. This is only a suggestion.
Understood. Thank you. I appreciate the suggestion, sir. Ma'am, you're up.
Hi, my name is Erica McCullough. I'm from New London. I have 3 boys that went through this district and are thriving members of society now. Thank you. I wasn't planning on speaking until I was listening to some of these comments. A lot of you know me, and I will try to keep this brief, I promise.
We appreciate that.
So I just wanted to comment to some of the statements that were made about, I heard the word deplorable education in this district with the amount of money that we're spending. I feel that I want to know how this education is supposed to get better, how they see improvements to this education by cutting budgets, by removing teachers from the classroom, by putting more than 9 kindergartners in a classroom, which I challenge anybody here to deal with 9 kindergartners by themselves in a classroom. I also would challenge any of these people who are opposing or who are in favor of this cap to ask themselves what they have done to help the situation, what their remedies have been. One was how many of you are signed up to substitute teach, which the district needs desperately, substitute teachers. How many of you have volunteered in the schools? How many of you have offered your services as tutors to these children to help these teachers? This is my question to you. What have you done for this school besides come in with it? That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. You're up.
Hello, my name is Kylan Frankowicz. I'm a resident of New London, New Hampshire. I've kind of seen like a lot of valued members of our community, my family moved here because of the schools. I received almost a full Kearsarge education where I learned reading, writing, math. I read the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and although it's anecdotal evidence, my entire junior year civics class did pass the citizenship test. So, but I'd like to speak to another thing that I learned at Kearsarge beyond reading, writing, and math, and that is community. As Kearsarge students, a lot of us participate in food drives. We raise money for veterans. I've donated countless Saturdays playing my clarinet for veterans of this community. Kearsarge students put a lot of work into this community, and I think it's disheartening that the community isn't willing to put a little bit of money towards the students that have given so much to this community.
Thank you for your comments.
Hi,
You're up, ma'am.
I'm Sophia Smith, class of 2030. I go to KRMS. And first of all, I can speak, or not speak, I can read and write cursive. Students aren't assets. We are people and have futures. This tax cap would limit my ability to get a quality education in this district, and the cuts would further have a negative impact on our after-school activities and sports, taking away chances for many students to get scholarships to higher education schools they can't afford to go otherwise.
Thank you for your comments. And you, sir, it is your time. I have a feeling you're not a registered voter, but I'm going to find you in order to speak because I would like to hear what you have to say. So why don't you step up to the mic, tell us your name and what town you live in, and tell us what you want to say.
Hi, I'm Tree Byfield, and I live in Sutton, and I also live in Newberry. I would love to have my friends from Warner in my school, but I would not like to close the schools.
Well, thank you. We appreciate your comments. Thank you for being so brave to come up and talk. Over to this side.
I'm Lionel Bartholomew, and I live in Warner. I'm a current senior at Kearsarge Regional High School. And I would just like to say that we have an amazing group of educators teaching all of us, my class, all the students at Kearsarge. We can pass the citizenship test, we can read and write cursive, we know many things, and we can do a whole lot more than that. But closing schools, cutting budgets, this is going to limit our ability to go into the future with support from our community. And we have given a lot to our community, and we deserve some of that support back. These cuts to our education. This building will just be a building. It won't have the same community and support and care that it does right now. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mike Liberty, father of 3 New London residents, also founder of a successful business that employs about 400 people. At that business, we pay a lot of attention to the value of people's time, and specifically the cost of meetings. I would like to point out that I estimate that there's at least 2,000 people here conservatively. If we value people's time at about $25 an hour, that this is costing us $50,000 an hour to respond to a petition from about 32 people. So I would encourage those petitioners to consider that next time, because I don't want to be here again next year. Thank you. With that, I probably just cost you guys $1,000. So.
Thank you. I'm going to respond to that comment. Just so everybody knows, this is not a school district.
district or a municipal budget committee issue. This is a state statute. The legislature has created this statute. It treats us like a town, and if any 25 people in a town, or in this case, in our district, file a petition warrant article, it's the way it is. The only way we can avoid it is if the legislature changes the law, just so you're aware. Let's go to this side of the room, you're up.
My name is Owen Blood, and I'm a resident of Warner. I'm currently serving as a senior at Kearsarge Regional High School, serving as one of the student representatives on the school board and as a member of student council. I've been a part of the Kearsarge district since kindergarten, and over the years, this district has been a cornerstone of my growth in education. I've witnessed firsthand how deeply our teachers and administrators care about their students. Every staff member, from educators to support staff, has made a meaningful impact on students' learning experiences. Their dedication has shaped the quality of education I've received, and I can confidently say that my peers would not be where we are without them. However, the proposed cuts to the school budget would fundamentally threaten this environment. Drastic staff reductions would lead to overcrowded classrooms, less individualized attention, and diminished student support services, including guidance counselors and administrators. Such losses would severely undermine our school's ability to provide an education that our community deserves. At the high school, students benefit from a wide range of opportunities. Many of my peers take part in extended learning opportunities, which are called ELOs, gain real-world experience at the Concord Regional Technical Center, and even earn certifications like LNAs. Others thrive in arts, theater, sports, and clubs, all of which enrich their learning and personal growth. Without proper funding, these critical programs and the well-rounded education they provide could disappear, leaving future students without the tools they need to succeed as life-ready adults. As the students' elected representative, it is my responsibility to advocate for their needs and ensure that their voices are heard. I urge every eligible voter here to protect the quality of education at Kearsarge by voting no on Article 2. Let's ensure that future generations receive the same enriched and supportive education that has shaped me and my classmates. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Anastasia Glavis, and I live in Warner, New Hampshire. I was also a substitute teacher in the district for 10 years. What I want to say today, I want to actually throw out one statistic that wasn't shared. I recently found out that 74% of the teachers in this district have master's degrees. I think that number is higher than it was a few years ago when I recall being at a meeting and they said it was like 63%. So the number is going up. The district is investing in the education of our teachers. We also have teachers with longevity here who have been here a very long time. They may be more expensive to pay, but it is worth it. So if we don't do what is necessary to keep these people here, they will go elsewhere. That's a very important point. I'm an outsider. I've been here since 2009. However, my opinion and what makes this district so special and what makes it diverse is not racial diversity, but it's this geographic diversity that we have and also socioeconomic diversity. It is a beautiful thing to witness, but the lady who mentioned about the crayons and telling the parents to buy the crayons, there are so many families here who can't afford to do that. When my children were at Simon's, they were very big on fairness to everybody. Don't make parents spend more than they have to because there's so many that can't afford it. We never can lose sight of that. I so appreciated that. So here's the bottom line, what I have learned from being here today. This number, this $27,000 per student, does not fit the Kearsarge Regional District. If it doesn't fit, we must acquit. That is how I feel today, and I urge you to vote against this. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for your comments. He's deferring to you. You're up next.
I'm Jen Alford-Duster. I live in Sutton.
a child, I grew up here in New Hampshire. I grew up on welfare, food stamps, Section 8. David Bates, I think, made the comment that people who suffer the most are the most vulnerable children. That is absolutely true. I'm here to tell you that the return on investment is worth it, because you're looking at one. Do not give up. Keep coming to the budget meetings, the municipal budget meetings. Like, this is the participation that is required out of us. So I respectfully disagree with Mike Liberty. If the woman who committed to coming here next year is going to be back here with the same petition, I will be here. I will meet you here every time. Two more final points here, because I know I'm a recovering academic, so I wouldn't say things in one word, I'd say it in 100. First, I also want to say I was nervous to come here today because of the state of our country and the violence, so I really deeply want to say thank you to our police officers and first responders who are here. Some of whom have recently responded to some pretty incredible tragedies in Bradford, so thank you for continuing to show up. It allows us to continue to participate in this very important process. Also, Derek, you're a magician. Like, thank you so much for, your neutral and fair and, facilitating of this event. It takes a lot of work to keep control of your emotions.
Wrap it up, Jen. Let's go.
And then as a final thing, I would just like to say, please keep showing up. Keep showing up for the students. Keep showing up for that investment. Don't forget that this is a moral document that we're voting for our future. Just like when you plant a tree, you may never see the end of it. But I promise you, we are worth it. Your kids are worth it. All the teachers are worth it.
So vote no. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you our last public speaker. Let's give him a hand. And we know he's going to keep it short because we are ready to vote. Go.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. My name is Tom Schamberg. My wife and I live in Wilmot. I'm on the Select Board. It's my 4th term. I'm on the MBC Committee, my 3rd term, and I'm serving my 5th term at the State House on the House Ways and Means Committee. This gathering here shows democracy in action. You are guaranteed the right to gather, you are guaranteed the right to speak, but also to be a listener. In a democracy, decisions that we will make will not be made by one person. In a democracy, decisions will be made by all of us through our right to vote. And that decision will be binding on all of us. That is democracy. But I believe the direction of this petition at the school board is wrongly placed and directed. This petition attacks the funding process for access to quality public education like we have here in the Kearsarge Regional School District. This petition is attacking the cornerstone of your child's future to be able to move into our state's workforce and affect your child's upward mobility. This petition does not attack the underlying problem caused by past and present elected representatives under the Golden Dome in Concord. The problem is the downshifting of education costs to our local property taxes. The New Hampshire Supreme Court in 1993 said that all children in New Hampshire have a right to a constitutionally adequate education as written in the New Hampshire Constitution. But New Hampshire's elected leaders, beginning with a former governor who said in the Manchester Union Leader, January 2nd, 1994, the ruling is a dumb decision. And ever since, those in the corner office, both Republicans and Democrats, have used public tax monies to fight this right to a constitutional, adequate education in New Hampshire by using lawsuits or vetoes against improving public school funding for public education in the state of New Hampshire. You have heard many say, why don't these schools just teach the basics? Or where does all the money go? This petition does nothing to address the required funding obligations for New Hampshire school administrative units, which include Kearsarge Regional District. Since the year 1900, public education has been mandated to include responsibilities to be addressed by public schools, which now total over 118 plus legislative mandates. Owen, the paper, please. This is the list that Kearsarge Regional School and all the other public schools in the state of New Hampshire must somehow use in their education process. In our society of citizens known as the public, you and me, and the New Hampshire legislators, past and present, have determined that New Hampshire public education, not private or religious institutions, shall undertake these responsibilities without increasing financial resources for New Hampshire public school districts. This petition does not focus on the right priority or the right avenue that will ensure proper financial revenues from the state to reduce the public education property tax for residents of the Kearsarge Regional School District. This type of petition and any other petitions in the state should be directed to the newly elected New Hampshire Governor, Kelly Ayotte, who is a product of public schools. Also, her husband is presently a public school math teacher. So,
all right, Tom, we're gonna pull you off the stage.
Paragraph.
15 seconds, Tom, I'm counting.
Do it in 15. Since the state of New Hampshire contributes the smallest percentage toward public school funding in the country, ranking 50th in the United States, and the state government presently downshifts $2.7 billion annually onto property owners like us in the Kearsarge Regional School District to fund an estimated 72% of our local education costs, while the state only contributes 21%. The question is...
Thank you, Tom.
Last closing paragraph here, Mr.
Tom, you're going to make me exercise my authority.
Right?
Let's go.
All right, here we go. The question is, can this governor get the legislative majority to support the proper...
All right, time's up, Tom. We're getting moved.
Education, school...
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, thank you, Tom. I let a politician go last. That was my mistake. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. Okay, folks, this is what you're all here for. Here's the process. We are going to be doing a secret ballot. When you guys came in, you were handed a packet of pieces of paper. Just so you know, for context, last year we had about 30 people here total. The school district clerk made 1,200 ballots. I am told that she ran out and had made photocopies. We have ballot boxes now not only in here and in the auditorium and in the cafeteria, but also in the library. You guys got the prime seat, so what a great turnout. Let's talk about how we're gonna manage this now. You'll see in the front of the room we have ballot boxes here. We also have one on each side of the room. I understand that we have a ballot box in the auditorium, two ballot boxes in the cafeteria and in the library. I'm asking all of the supervisors of the checklist who can hear me to come man a ballot box. And we want to make sure we at least have one supervisor at each. I need at least one or two more people here in the auditorium. There'll be a supervisor manning each. Here's the process. I want you to pull out, for those of you that have the originals, it is the pink sheet of paper. The pink sheet of paper. For those of you, it will all say ballot A, ballot A. If you have a photocopy, you have no color, but it will say ballot A. You have two choices on your piece of paper, a yes and a no. You need to pick one of those and only one of those, and you will take that ballot and you're going to place it in the ballot box. We will keep track of the time. It just turned 11:30. We must keep the ballot box open until 12:30. For this room, I'm going to let people come up. I'll sort of motion which group is coming up to which box to kind of keep it somewhat orderly. If we finish the process of voting before the hour is up, and I hope we do, we'll try and move on to the other articles. And then once the 12:30 time hits, I will close the voting. The supervisors of the checklist will bring all of the ballot boxes into this room, to the back of the stage, and they will do a count here and now today to find out what the count is. We are told, hold on one second, we are told for ease of counting, please do not fold your ballot. It just makes it so much easier for them to count. They're going to have a lot of ballots to get through. All right, any questions from the crowd? Anything I've missed? Yes. This is for Article 2. Fair point. I got to make sure everybody's clear. We are voting on Article 2, the petitioned warrant article. A yes vote is for the petition and would, in fact, instill a tax cap. A no vote is a vote against the warrant article, and it would defeat the tax cap. If you are for the article, you vote yes. If you are against the article, you vote no. Yes, sir, you have a question? Speak up quickly. Yes, I'll announce that to everybody who couldn't hear him. The question being raised is after the balloting is over, so at 12:30 and we're done, the question is whether or not a person can move to restrict reconsideration. And the answer to that question is yes. So I will entertain a motion at that time to restrict reconsideration of the vote. For all of you to understand the process, as long as this meeting is going on, at any point in time until we all leave and have addressed all of the warrant articles, someone can make a motion to reconsider any of them, including Article 2. The way to avoid that is for somebody to ask to restrict reconsideration, and they would make that motion, we would vote on it, and if the motion passes, we could not again reconsider Article 2 today. That is the process. So with that, let's get the balloting started. It's 11:30. The balloting will continue until 12:30. Here's what I would ask, if you could please. With those sitting in the middle, please wait for a moment and let those in the bleachers go first. Those in the bleachers, take your time. Everyone's going to have an opportunity. Bleachers vote, and then I'll release all of you in the middle next. All of you in the auditorium, cafeteria, and library can start putting your ballots in the box. All right, everybody, let's get started again, please. All right, folks, let me explain the process. It's not quite yet 12:30. We have about 15 minutes left while we have to keep the ballot box open, and we will do that. We have closed all the ballot boxes in the library and in the auditorium and in the cafeteria, but we do have one remaining ballot box open. If anyone who wishes to vote has not yet voted, you have 15 minutes to do so. You'll be using the ballot A, and you'll be putting it in the box here in front of the podium in the gymnasium. So 15 minutes left on the ability to vote. Now that we're moving on, I understand that there are folks that wish to restrict reconsideration on Article 2. I will entertain a motion to restrict reconsideration on Article 2 at this time. Does anyone wish to make the motion? Oh, so many folks. I'm going to recognize Dan Wolf because he came up and asked me about it first. All right. Do I have a second? Oh my goodness. Anybody and everybody. Okay, we have a second. What I'm going to do is call for a yay and nay vote. It's a voice vote. A yes vote means you will restrict reconsideration, and we will not reconsider Article 2 today. A no vote means that you do not want to restrict reconsideration, and it could be reconsidered today. I'm going to give you one wrinkle just so you're clear what the law says. If we vote to restrict reconsideration, that is perfectly fine and allowed, and we will not reconsider it today. However, if at the end of the meeting there is a small group, let's say there are 3 people left, and those 3 people at the end of the meeting say they wish to reconsider Article 2, they can make that motion, and if 2 out of the 3 vote in favor, they would be able to reconsider, but the rules say don't shoot the messenger, that if that happens, there would be a second meeting 7 to 10 days from today to reconsider. So it's the state statute, it's not our doing, but in any event, the process is if we wish to restrict reconsideration in the best way possible, we would vote yes. If we want to potentially reconsider today, we would vote no. So all in favor of restricting reconsideration on Article 2, say aye. Aye. All opposed to restricting reconsideration on Article 2, say no. The ayes have it. With that, I'm going to take our next 15 minutes before I announce the closing of the polls to move on to the other articles. Let's go to Article 3. I will read it, then I will turn to a member of the school board who will comment. Article 3, to see if the school district will vote to approve the cost item included in the collective bargaining agreement reached between the Kearsarge Regional School Board and the Kearsarge Regional Educators Association, which calls for the following increases in salaries and benefits. School year 25-26, $857,617. 26-27, $879,608. 2027 and 28, $861,580, and further to raise and appropriate the sum of $857,617 for the 2025-2026 fiscal year, such sum representing the additional costs attributable to the increase in salaries and benefits required by the new agreement over those that would be paid at current staffing levels. School Board recommends on a 6-0 vote. Municipal Budget Committee recommends on a 7-0 vote. And I understand that Patrick McGowan of the School Board would like to speak to Article 3.
So this is the School Board's explanation. The Kearsarge Regional School Board and the Kearsarge Regional Educators Association have reached a 3-year contract agreement for 2025 through 2028. The agreement includes competitive salary increases and benefits for teachers and specialists under the collective bargaining agreement. Key changes included improved salary ranges to attract new staff, a reduction in the district's contribution to health insurance premiums, and a reallocation of funds for graduate course studies to support endorsements for new staff. Additionally, the teacher evaluation system will be updated to align with the professional growth plan.
Thank you, Patrick. At this time, the mics are open for the public. If anyone wishes to speak to Article 3 with questions or comments, now is your chance. Going once. Going twice. Going 3 times. All right. We are done discussing Article 3. Give yourself a hand. Yeah. All right. We're moving to Article 4. To see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate up to $100,000 to be placed in the school buildings maintenance expendable trust fund for the purpose of repair, unanticipated utility costs, and maintaining the school buildings and equipment, with such amount to be funded from unassigned fund balance surplus funds remaining on hand as of June 30, 2025. The school board recommends on a 6-0 vote. Municipal Budget Committee recommends on a 6-1 vote. And I understand Emma Bates of the school board would like to speak to Article 4. Emma.
Is this on? Yes. Okay. The school board explanation. In 2009, the voters established an expendable trust fund for the purpose of repairs, unanticipated utility costs, and maintaining school buildings and equipment. If approved, this article will set aside up to $100,000 towards that purpose from operating surplus funds remaining on hand as of June 30th, 2025. The balance of the fund as of August 2024 is approximately $334,434.
Thank you, Emma. All right, folks, now is your chance. The 3 mics are available. If anyone has any questions or comments about Article 4, now's your chance. I'm waiting to see if they're going to the mic or not. Okay. I see no one wishing to speak to Article 4. Having said that, we're going to close the discussion on Article 4 and move to Article 5. Article 5, to see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate up to $100,000 to be placed in the Capital Reserve Roof Fund for the purpose of replacement or major repairs to roofs in the district, with such amounts to be funded from unassigned fund balance surplus funds remaining on hand as of June 30, 2025. School board recommends on a 6-0 vote. Municipal Budget Committee recommends on a 6-1 vote. And I understand, I think it's Eric on the school board is going to speak to this. Yes, Eric.
In 2000, the voters established a capital reserve fund for the purpose of reconstructing or adding roofs to existing schools of the district. If approved, this article will set aside up to $100,000 toward that purpose from operating surplus funds remaining on hand as of June 30th, 2025. The balance of the fund as of August 2024 is approximately $962,443.
Thank you, Eric. Anyone wishing to speak on Article 5 or have any questions, please come to the mics. We have a taker. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Polly Lowe, Newbury. That's an amount that can nowhere near replace what you're considering to be $8 million to replace the roofs on buildings in the future. With $600 and some thousand, and you're going to add another $100,000, it's just an amount that is not going anywhere with regard to replacing all the roofs.
Let's see if anybody from the school board can comment on the roof budget and this article. Anybody have any further comment, or superintendent?
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, and that number, that's accurate. I mean, when we talk we were supposed to have about $1 million project on the roof just here in this building, and come to find out that it was going to be in excess of that significantly. So the long-term study work that has been done, some of you remember the school board adopted or instituted with LaValle Brensinger to do a deep dive in all the buildings. Every building in the district has roof needs. So when we look at that, while that's not a replacement cost, that is money that we have then for emergency repairs, for anything that would borderline catastrophic. A roof of this building is going to leak. So when we have things that, with mold and things of that nature, that's where those funds were going to come from. But it is not going to be for repair work, not for replacement.
Thank you for the question and for the answer. Anyone else wishing to speak to Article 5? Now's your chance. Yes, sir.
Steve Schultz, Newbury. What is the cost that they estimated for all of the roofs?
Go ahead. I'll let Brett Perret, our facilities director, comment on that.
Just to put into perspective, to replace the roof here at this building, initial estimates are anywhere from $7 to $10 million for one roof alone. And we know that every roof in the district within the next 3 to 5 years is going to need a new roof.
Thanks again for the question and for the response. I appreciate it. Anyone else? If not, I'm going to close discussion on Article 5. All right. Last call. All right. With that, I see that no one else wishes to speak to Article 5. I'm going to close discussion on Article 5. By my phone, we have 5 minutes left for balloting. Here's how I'm going to proceed. I'm going to recess the meeting for 5 minutes, allow anyone else that wishes to vote to vote. I will announce at 12:30 that the voting is concluded. In the meantime, I will have the supervisors of the checklist continue their count, and I will call everybody back into the meeting to announce the count. There's no other business on the agenda for today, but if you want to stick around to hear the count, feel free, and I'll call the meeting back to order. I expect it'll be 10 to 15 minutes after that. So thank you for your participation, for your patience, and if you want to stick around, we're happy to have you. Thanks, everyone. Ballot voting is closed. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I hear such a motion? Do I hear a second? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? It's unanimous. The meeting is adjourned. The voting will be counted shortly. If you wish to stick around, you can, but there will be no further business at the meeting except for me announcing the results. You have done your job today. Thank you. I'm also told that results will be put on the website as well. But if you spent all this time in under 10 minutes, you may know. Stay tuned, folks. Thank you again for coming out. It was great to see the